When you first read the script and saw the original play, what was your kind of initial response?
I directed the original play in German.
Oh, wow.
So I think the kind of first European production of it after its English language premiere in the Edinburgh Festival, I said about 2005, so quite some time before I made the film, and it had really stuck with me. So I guess my initial response to it when I read it was just a kind of phenomenal piece of theatre, and it's one of the best chamber plays of this century. It's an extraordinary piece of writing. It's going to last. People are going to keep coming back to that play, both because of the moral questions it opens up and the way it makes the audience sort of judge and jury, but also the way it's a kind of verbal boxing match between these two characters and the way that they strip each other emotionally naked. It's riveting theatre. I love doing it. I did it with two great German actors at the Schaubühne Theatre, and it really stayed with me. And then as I was just I was sort of digging for what my first film might be for some time, and that had been one where I'd always just been wondering what would happen with that. How could that space that we'd been in rehearsals with the actors there, what would happen if you put that in front of a camera? How might a camera, the special intimacy of the camera, go beyond language? Like, theatre's all about language. Theatre's about rhetoric, the way that we listen and evaluate truth of those two people breathing in the same room as us. Whereas what the camera sees is more important than what it hears, I think, in filmmaking, and how to kind of open that up. It also became very interesting to me how the film could do something that the theatre could never do, which was how it would open up the question of time. This story is about that. She sees him again for the first time after 15 years, and it opens up floodgates of memory and past experience. And they talk about things that she talks about things to him, confronts him with things that she's been thinking about for 15 years. In the theatre that happens through the torrent of language, how could the film look at this emotional experience of this scar tissue of the past and the way that the past cuts through and influences the present was kind of a really exciting question.
Was it important to kind of expand on the theatre in terms of, I guess, showing her backstory a little bit more and showing the images rather than the words? Was that important to you to kind of stretch it out a bit?
It had to become purely independent as a piece of cinema. I really wasn't interested in making film theatre. I've done a good production of the play. Other people will continue to do it. It doesn't need a well-made film production, or NT Live can do that. That's a whole other thing. It had to become a unique piece of filmmaking. You feel the DNA or the root structure of it being a piece of theatre, and I like that. There's some scenes with the two of them, locked in the room with the boxes, sort of a kind of long take of the two of them going at each other. It's almost like theatre for a moment, and I like that you feel that in there, because that's like their relationship. Their relationship is this exclusive relationship. They speak a sort of private language almost to each other because they're talking about things that only they understand. But at the same time, by opening it up, by following her through the past, by even starting with her in the nightclub, by opening up into the story with Riz and going to the party at the end, and sort of scattering the play through these different things and opening up other relationships and taking the opportunity to sort of peek into other corners of their lives, to see what her life was like with her mother now, and suggest all of those other things, was not just a great opportunity from the play, but it was a way of saying, okay, the play, for David Harrower, the writer, and I, this was a very specific thing. We didn't want to do a well-made version of the play. How would it go through a sort of alchemical change to become something else and to become a piece of cinema?
I haven't seen the original play, but I read that Ben's character is a lot older in the play. Was that something you wanted to do in terms of changing it, or did that just come with casting Ben in the role?
A bit of both. I mean, once I knew, I came to the project. There was already a script that had been around. It changed a lot when David and I began working on it, but that didn't show the past, and that was a very important thing for me. I was interested in how, rather than just talking about what happened, we would kind of fall back into it. But also how the film became about memory, about how in their confrontation with each other again, all these memories are triggered, and how in the filmmaking we could feel that, we could go into that with them. As soon as we were going to do that, it would have kind of been a bit tricky to have a much older looking guy to have that credible that it was 15 years earlier. And Ben kind of perfectly straddled that. So we're a bit more ambiguous about his age. I always just feel he's kind of, early 50s. So it's not that big a difference. But it was really that once we were in the knew we were going to be in the past more, actually that opened up the really exciting possibility that it could be Ben who could play it. It was like a really liberating moment where it's like, oh fuck, it could be Mendo.
You worked with him before, I believe.
Yeah.
What is it about him that makes him? Because he's him and both Rooney as well. Both had this amazing career that's just exploded. And they've done big movies and small movies and everything else. And Ben is like a chameleon. He can pretty much do anything by the seams of it.
They're just both incredibly truthful, and they're both really brave. They're very, in a way, what was so beautiful about it, they're kind of very different actors. Ben's can be very, very free, very, very loose, very, very rough. He throws a lot of stuff at it, and Rooney's like kind of really pinning it. But by doing that, they both get into that very, very volatile, very raw, very free state. And I'm so attracted to that truth when I watch them in kind of wildly different films that they've both done. But they just put it all on the line, and that's what you need for this. So they're great collaborators because they care about the truth of the material and the truth of their characters, and going out in pursuit of that day after day, and they don't want to do things the easy way, and that's what this film needed. But that's also what I'm always looking for with people I work in the theatre, and yeah, they're just both extraordinarily brave. And I think this film's also based on the chemical reaction, and it was just a kind of hunch of what would happen if these two met. And so on one hand, they're extraordinarily generous to each other, really generous, really supporting each other to go to dangerous places, but at the same time always pushing each other further. And yeah, they're amazing.
I read that Rooney was your first choice.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to get her, since she's
No.
doing so much? She's doing so much amazing stuff. I've just seen her in Ghost Story and
yeah. I mean, well, we
else,
shot
so
this
many things.
before that. We shot this in the summer of 15, and she'd just come off Carol, and she's always doing amazing stuff. She's busy. She's choosing exciting projects, but she loved Blackbird so much. She knew of me a little bit because I worked with Cate Blanchett a bit, and she and Kate had just done Carol, so she was really open to the conversation. But she loved the material and really wanted to do it. No, she was just kind of really on board from the first conversation, and on board as a real collaborator. We discussed the script and the adaptation a lot, and she had a lot of ideas about that, and she just really cares. She's amazing.
What was the experience like taking it to the festivals? That must be great to have audiences see it first before it gets a sort of wide release of both sides of the
it was really amazing. Yeah, because also I think the film is a kind of raw nerve, like it touches raw nerves and is about their raw nerves, but the film is as well. So when I was first watching it, I realized with audiences, what uncomfortable things it does to them, and I don't just mean in the way that you're invited into her dilemma and the moral grey zone of that. That's uncomfortable. But also the film itself, because their relationship is sort of catastrophic, nihilistic, very, very damaged, and we're not allowed to really escape from that. The film kind of gets its grip in you and draws you into their claustrophobic relationship. And that's kind of uncomfortable, and I think sometimes you want to go, oh, I've got to get away from this. I've got to get away from them, but I need to know more. And I'm starting to care about them. And getting pulled into that, I'm feeling audiences get pulled into that's been really interesting. But also, we always wanted the film to, in a way, be unsolved, to continue in the audience's imagination and their arguments and discussions afterwards, both in terms of if maybe the big questions, was she the only one that she's asking of him? Is he allowed to have a new life? Will she recover from this? Does she have the right to pursue him? All of those questions that are there, that they continue in the audience's discussions, and to feel people have wildly different ideas and be saying to me, which of these is true? And for me to say, I don't know, probably maybe both, but I don't know. And maybe next time I watch it, I'll think this possibility, and last time I watched it, I thought this. This was what we were trying to achieve as filmmaking, and that's the type of cinema that I'm really excited by when I go to see that challenges me and lodges in my imagination, and I can't finish with. And that's certainly what we were quite precisely aiming to do in terms of also the clues that we scatter through the film, but to keep it on that knife edge. So it's been really rewarding and sometimes freaky to see audiences go into that space.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,